everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. We did it. We are out on the other side of episode 400. It's episode 401. We made it. Not only did we make it, we brought some of you along with us. Thanks for joining us. And tonight, myself, Jason, and DJ have a guest with us. Michael? Whoa, I'm sorry. Oh, crud. I got ahead of myself. Go ahead, Jason.
So, DJ's a cast member now? Is that what we're doing? 401 and forward? We're just not going to do
the
longest running gag on this podcast?
I actually thought that got settled a while back. But if there was a turning point for it, it feels like episode 400 should probably be the official turning point.
Just because he's done more episodes than Marcel or Ryan doesn't mean that he's a permanent member. Congrats, DJ. You did it.
Last week was great. I hope everyone enjoyed having Ryan and Marcel on the original.
What would Marcel say that he not pass the torch, but like drop the flashlight or like?
Well, okay. So you have to. If there were two ways to say that, like passing the torch is one, you need another one, and then you need to combine them in the most and then the weirdest way possible. So
yeah, he's like the bartender in Boondock Saints. Like he can't keep his idioms straight.
Yeah, there's passing the torch. There's, I don't know off the top of my head, but yeah, that's the direction. In order to get a good Marcellism, I think that's basically the flow chart you need to use.
I see.
Yeah, but anyways, we have an actual guest on tonight, Michael Caffrey, owner of Tales of Adventure Games. Caffrey, welcome on the cast, man.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, it is great to have you. For those who don't know, Tales of Adventure and Caffrey is a mainstay at GP's back when Magic Fest, back when those existed, and hopefully when those exist again in the future. But I'm sure that's not all you do. So for anyone out there who may not be familiar with you, go ahead and introduce yourself and give them just a brief rundown of what it is you do in Magic.
So I own Tales of Adventure retail store in Coopersburg, Pennsylvania. It's about an hour northwest of Philadelphia. We've been open for 7 years. We've been vending Magic Fest for the past 4.5 or so. So that's the big things. I'm starting to get more active on Twitter in the MTG finance world and producing YouTube content as well. With the pandemic and no flying around the country, I have more time for that stuff.
Yeah, that's it's weird how that works out, right? I think I've literally been sitting at home. It's like, wow, this is a great opportunity to tackle all these Magic cards sitting in my house. There are some benefits to the pandemic if you ignore all the terrible stuff. But we're happy to have you on. We're going to talk tonight about a little bit about how the pandemic has affected Magic and what it's like to be running an LGS in July of 2020. I'm sure it's got to be something that a lot of people are interested in, a lot of people care about, and a lot of people want to know how to help out their local store. So that's what we're going to get to later. But first, we're going to do our budget segment. This is Sudden Substitution. This is where we take an expensive commander card that you may not be able to put in your deck and give you some budget alternatives. And tonight, we're doing a card that I have been on record as calling for being banned many times. But Cyclonic Rift is an expensive Magic card, no matter how many times it's printed, it seems.
Which is surprisingly few, considering it's been out for 8 years.
That's true. Well, they put it into, what, one commander set?
It was in the Teferi Commander 2014, and it was in the Modern Masters 2017.
Yeah, so I don't know. They probably thought that it was going to be a card that, we'll reprint this a few times, and then we'll just start putting it in commander sets every year. But then it's like they took a year off, and next thing you know, the card's $25, and they're like, well, now we can't put this into a $35 MSRP product.
No, we got to print Champion of Lambholt 3 times in the calendar year of 2020, but...
I think this is actually like a card that they put once in a commander deck, then regretted it. Not because of the price, just because of the play patterns and like the...
Yeah, that may be true.
The convergence of how like the arch eneminess of it, I think. It's sort of like how they've avoided putting like Rhystic Study and Exsanguinate in precons. I think they recognized their mistake and got feedback from like focus groups or something about Cyclonic Rift and felt the same way, at least in terms of precons.
On that note, I don't know when this show goes live, but we might all be looking really stupid if the show goes live like Thursday or Friday.
I mean,
yeah, well,
it may be looking
stupid. Looking stupid is that's our thing.
If it gets reprinted, it's still going to end up being more expensive than any of our budget replacements. So
yeah, right now Cyclonic Rift is about $35. It's pretty expensive, even with the reprint and double masters. It would probably still be pretty pricey. So let's talk about some alternatives. We'll let the guest go first. Caffrey, tell us if you are looking for an alternative to Cyclonic Rift that does not cost $35, what you'd be looking at.
Okay, so Cyclonic Rift is a blue instant, so I think the most logical replacement is to go with a white enchantment from Visions.
Of course.
The card we're going with is Equipoise. It's a $2 rare. At the beginning of your upkeep, for each land target player controls in excess of the number you control, choose a land that player controls, then the chosen permanents phase out. Repeat this process for artifacts and creatures.
I have to say, I had never seen this card before
dirty.
You brought it up to us.
So
it's
like a fixed balanced if the definition of fixed was not fixed.
Yeah, so I mean, Caffrey, do you have experience playing with this card at all? I imagine it makes some people pretty annoyed if you slam this on the table.
No, right now my playing is confined to Arena, and that's about it.
Yeah, they haven't quite gotten divisions on Arena yet.
Yeah, it's probably gonna take a while.
Yeah, maybe.
But looking at the card, you have a card that doesn't just end the game when you play it, which isn't really fun for anyone. You get a lot of politics out of it. If it's my turn, then I phase out the person who's after the person who's next, so the third player in orders. If I phase out some of their creatures, the second player can just attack for a bunch.
Yeah, that's right.
Or they could argue back the other way of phase out the second player's permanents for me, so that way I can attack them.
Yeah, political cards like that in Commander are very powerful and a lot of fun. I'll jump in next, and I'm going to go with a Commander 2016 blue card. It's 7 mana. It's a sorcery, though. However, what it loses, rather, not being an instant, it makes up for in mana. Coastal Breach, 7 mana. However, it has the ability Undaunted, where it costs 1 less for each opponent. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So, yes, look, we understand when we make this series. We're going to be suggesting some cards that maybe can't always duplicate the effect exactly. And Coastal Breach is not going to duplicate the Cyclonic Rift effect. However, in Commander, when you have all kinds of mana at a late point in the game, paying 4 mana for a Coastal Breach to bounce everything in play and then using your mana first, that's pretty powerful. So,
this card is just fine.
Yeah, $4, very solid replacement, or card that you want to play in addition to Cyclonic Rift. Jason, why don't you go next?
You're not gonna, for less than $35 right now, you're not gonna get a card that is like both an instant and doesn't mess with your permanents. It's not a thing.
The Cyclonic Rift is silly.
We're picking budget replacements for a reason. I like Devastation Tide. I don't mind paying 5 for Devastation Tide, but I really like paying 2 for Devastation Tide. I don't want this in everybody's deck, because if you're playing against me, you're like, oh, I got to play for 2 because I drew it.
Yeah, the miracle cost is that what we're talking about, right?
I'm compelled by the laws of value, which you believe in as financiers, to pay 3 fewer mana because I have that option. I have to play it now. So, like, if this person rips it on turn 3 and they bounce a Soul Ring, they did it. So Devastation Tide, it's kind of modal in the way that Cyc Rift is somewhat modal, where you could just bounce 1 problem permanent, or you could make the game take an additional 35 minutes, which is what the only thing Cyclonic Rift does. Devastation Tide at least has the good sense to bounce your stuff, so that like the game takes an extra 45 to 50 minutes, because
well, it's still going to take
farther ahead with it.
Yeah, it's still going to take forever, but at least it's going to be a little more fair while it takes forever.
Fair, exactly. So
yeah, card's great, and it's only $1.
It's $1. It's a $3 foil.
There you go, DJ. Round to finish us off here. What do you got?
I have a card that I learned how to pronounce today. Cataract Leviathan from Shards of Alara. This is
Cataract.
A card. Cataract, I believe it is.
Which word could you not pronounce? Were you saying Leviathan?
It's Leviathan, Jason.
Leviathan. Yeah, Harry Potter. We're boomers.
That was yeah.
So this is around $4 or $5. It's a card that I'm just kind of surprised has never been reprinted, but it's it is 8 mana 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, return all other non-land permanents to their owner's hands, but it also has Unearth for 7 mana. So if you are in a tight bind and it's just sitting in your graveyard, you can pay 7 and bring it back, sweep the board. This is a card with a lot of crazy blink shenanigans. There's not many, like, you can't Deadeye Navigator a Cyclonic Rift. You can't
Right.
You can't Vidalcan Ori most other Wraths, like or most other board wipes. It's just a very unique card, and that is it's staple to a body. So you can reanimate it, you can flash it in, you can make it cost less through various cheatiness effects. There's a lot of things you can do with this, and you're left with a 5/5 while everyone else's stuff is stuck in their hand. And it's I actually thought this was like a bulk rare, and I think it was a bulk rare for a very long time, but it has slowly crept up to around $4. So it's a breaking bulk and a sudden substitution.
What's interesting to me about this entire segment that we're doing here is we're talking about all these cards, and I've been looking at the graphs for them as we go. And you know what? We're actually seeing some movement upwards. Both with
Do you know why? Because they're budget replacements.
Because people are always on the hunt for...
That's what I'm getting at. Jason's right. It's because they're budget replacements for Cyclonic Rift. All right. Well, let's go right from Cyclonic Rift. Right from sudden substitution straight into breaking bulk.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
So I'll start things off here. I'm going to go with a green common from Dominaria. This is a DJ pick.
Is it with the one with kicker? The one where you get a land or...
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Good. Yes, it is. It is a land with it's a grow from the ashes. Yeah, grow from the ashes. 3 mana sorcery. Get a basic land. Put it into play. Untapped. If it was kicked and the kicker costs us 2, you get 2. Put them into play untapped. So it's like a pretty medium ramp spell as far as things go. But hey, in your ramp decks, you kind of just want them all sometimes, and it is a little unique in that it can put them. It can scale and it can put them into play untapped. So
yeah, I don't hate this at all.
Yeah, it's 75 cents. It's a dime on Byless. And I mean, for what it's worth, it's climbed up over the past several months. So who knows? Maybe it'll end up being a couple dollars at some point. But yeah,
this one jumped from
definitely a pick.
10 to 11 cents. This will jump from 10 cents to 35. So
yeah, well, right now the card, yeah, as far as the buy list goes, absolutely. All right, let's see here. Caffrey, you feel ready?
Yeah. So we're going with an artifact that reduces the cost to play creature spells. It's an uncommon.
Okay.
What's that?
Less than 5 years old. It's from. If I say the set.
If you say the set, it'll give it away.
It came from the era.
Just creatures?
It came from the Masterpiece era.
Masterpiece era. That's
so like Battle for Zendikar forward.
Yeah.
So it's not Foundry Inspector. It's older than that.
Foundry Inspector's Kaladesh.
That's not the one we're going with. We sold out this card at $3. We relisted at like $4.50 or something.
Woo! And people think this is bulk.
This is a different way to
card that reduces the cost of creatures.
It is a cycle, so there's 5 of them.
Oh, okay. Ketra's
is it a
monument?
Is it a monument?
Yeah. Every one of the monument cycle is worth at least something worth pulling. Bantu's monument's like $5. Oketra's and Ronus's are like $1.50 or so.
That's crazy because the monuments are something we've talked about on this podcast before. But I'm going to be honest, I did not realize that we're talking $3, $4, $5 at this point for these cards. I was like, oh, they're all $1. But wow, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we all knew these were worth pulling, but that's nuts.
Yeah,
for being somewhat recent.
It really is. I mean, Amonkhet, the Amonkhet is going to be on Arena in like 3 months. You know, that's pretty recent. It was the set that was I think it was in beta on Arena, so it's just missed the Arena age, but they're doing like Amonkhet remastered and bringing it back at some point in the future. They've announced that, so that is definitely a recent set. Ooh. So it is crazy for uncommons to be this pricey.
There are 2 $5 foils of this card, and then the rest are like 18 to 20.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking at the TCG Player UI for Bantu's Monument, and the last sold listing for near mint foils is 10. But there's a lightly played foil.
There's 2 LPs, yeah,
for $5.50. Which is interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, the $10 one probably went through direct, which is like a little bit of
Let's buy these 2 off of Bernie. Throw him a bone.
Yeah, we sold a non-foil 3 days ago for $4.95.
Wow, that's crazy. That's great though.
Jeez.
Okay, well, okay, Jason, why don't you go next?
Why?
Well, why not?
I've got an artifact from Champions of Kamigawa.
Honor Worn
Well,
Shaku.
there aren't many of those.
Honor Worn Shaku really back in the spotlight now that everyone's playing those dumb shrine decks. If you go to EDH Rec, and you look at the no one cares about Jumpstart because they can't get the cards. No one cares about Corsair
Right.
21 because they can't get the cards.
Uh-huh.
So if you look at the top commanders of the week, number 1's Golos, number 2's Kenrith, number 3 Sese. So
Yeah.
what are people bothering to build? The stupid Shrines deck. And Honor Worn Shaku just gives you all the colorless mana in the world because you're tapping all those dumb shrines. You got 12 of them in the deck.
There are
12,
quite a few
13.
now.
You got a lot.
You got more than that. You got Copy Enchantment. You got
Yeah, exactly.
Estrid's
Yeah, no
Invocation,
kidding.
you got-
Metamorph.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you
They're not metamorph, I guess, but yeah.
so you're getting colorless mana for days with Honor Worn Shaku. This did spike when people paid attention to it when they did the legendary rules change. They're like, Planeswalkers are now legendary permanents and all that junk. This was like 3 years ago when we were in Vegas.
You're right. It was in September of 2017 with Ixalan.
Also, I'm going to cover my own ass here. I realize that I just said you can clone the legendary enchantments, but if you're building that shrine deck, you're going to play, what's it called? The Mirror Gallery.
Mirror Gallery.
Yeah.
I was
if
just
you're
going to
building
go
that
with
shrine deck, you're going all in. Therefore, you can clever
Mirror Gallery
impersonate
is a
your stupid
legendary
shrine.
permanent, and you could tap Mirror Gallery to untap Honor Worn Shaku and get a colorless mana. So
I just assumed there were enough clone effects that removed the legendary that you were referring to. But maybe there's not for artifacts, actually. I'm not sure. Or for enchantments, rather.
No, we were going to play Opalescence and Sakashima's Student, and then we're good.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, Shaku is shockingly good. And anytime a card spikes a second time, so the first time a card spikes, there's like Honor Worn Shakus for like a nickel at your LGS. So when it goes to like $3 on a buy list, everyone goes through and pulls all those out, right? Because they're like, oh, I can buy list this for $1.12 and I'm picking it up for a nickel. Sold. So all those cheap copies basically keep the price from spiking too hard, too fast. After that happens, all the dealers who are paying like a $1.50 and trying to sell for $4, every copy they didn't sell, they're still sitting on. So when the price spikes again, you have no choice but to buy them from dealers. And then that's when the price starts at $5. So cards like this that like were relevant, and then there was a race to the bottom for people trying to get out of their copies they overpaid for. If there's interest again, you're not going to be able to find those cheap copies at the LGS. Those are all ferreted out. So you're going to have to buy from somebody with a TCG player store. And that's when the price starts higher and goes higher faster. So
That's right.
stuff like that, like if you do happen to have those in bulk, like hang on to those because they're about to get relevant again because everyone's building that dumb deck. So
Yep, they sure are. All right, DJ.
I have a Shards of Alara Black Common.
Death Greeter?
Yep.
Oh,
I'm actually
that's,
surprised that this card has so few reprints. It was reprinted once in Dual Deck versus Liliana, and then it was in the
that's
anthology.
right. Yeah.
So there's a surprisingly few numbers of this card out there, and of course the Dual Deck anthology is like 3 times as much market price wise as the Shards of Alara one. It's got the new frame, it's got the low supply, all those crazy things going for it. But it's just it's just a very popular 60 card casual deck. It's just a very it's just people like sacrificing creatures, people like gaining life. It's just a very casual friendly card, a very non-competitive card, but it gets there. If you're going through Shards of Alara bulk, there's going to be a lot of obvious things pulled out, like Path to Exiles, and all the border posts or the panoramas might be pulled out, but Death Greeters probably won't be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Sorry,
a good
DJ. I was a freshman in college when Shards of Alara came out, so we drafted that a lot.
that was pretty quick. I think I would have gotten there eventually. I started with that set, but wow, I was not as quick as that. Oh, that was great.
2008,
Okay.
I was in 8th grade.
Yeah. Well, there you
Middle
go.
school.
Now, the Shards of Alara, by the way, also comes with one of the most expensive tokens you will find in any kind of set bulk from the last 10, 15 years, and that's the Beast token.
The
From,
good old Godsire.
Yeah, the Godsire Beast token. The 8/8 It's a very pricey token. So if you happen to come across any of those, make sure to pull those while you're going through that Shards of Alara bulk. That was a fun set. I want to draft that set again. 3 colors, that'd be great.
It's also a set with like some of the weirdest foil prices, just because that fun one experiment
with the all foil Shards of Alara packs.
Yep.
Or was it was Alara block packs, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was
Alara
block
because you could get because you could get Bloodbraid Alpha. That was a card everybody wanted because they didn't think EDH would be a thing.
That experiment must have gone very poorly for them to have done it for exactly 1 block, right?
Well, somebody made a video saying, "Oh, these are a bad deal" or whatever.
Back on Magic Online at that point, they had the mixed draft, but they had to disable the foiling effect because the client crashed if all the cards were foiled.
Wow. Wow, I didn't know that.
Magic Offline.
Oh,
I did not. Man. That's awesome.
Those packs are all pretty good right now, though. I think they're like $25 a pack. I had a couple
boxes for the foil packs.
For the foil packs, I had a couple boxes last year.
Yeah, there's. I mean, I assume that there's good stuff in them. Shards of Alara was a pretty neat block with some powerful cards. So
yeah, Bashard and I found a shop with a bunch of them on a shop crawl, but we're like, let's crack them, and then we didn't.
How'd that work
out?
Well, it's one of those things
double
where
in price in 4 years.
It's one of those things where people will sometimes bring you like foils from Shards of Alara expecting a significant premium, like Noble Hierarch or Elspeth or what have you, and then you have to just break out the chalkboard and explain, like, well, they did this weird thing 13 years ago where they tried to sell 1 billion foil versions, and that's why your Elspeth is nothing.
Yeah, I think Elspeth was like $80 in foil and like $20 or $25 regular at one point in that set cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was also the dual deck
yes.
Elspeth, right? That was playing into that at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's some throwback stuff right there. Well, let's jump into our main segment tonight. And we're only
I said Ryan Bouchard, Shop Crawl, and Shard's Block foil pack all in the same sentence.
Yeah, those were some dated references.
That was some 2013 energy for sure.
For our main segment tonight, we want to talk about the state of the Magic economy. And I know you're saying, hey, why don't you do that all the time? I mean, yes, but we have Caffrey here. Caffrey, as you've heard, runs one of the largest stores. He runs the LGS. He's been doing it for a long time. Knows what is going on right now in the face of this pandemic. And that's what we wanted to do, is to bring in somebody who can discuss how they're surviving this. I'll start with this. For those who have been listening to this cast for a long time, you know that I owned a store here in Oklahoma, and we did not make it through COVID. We looked at the climate for Magic and for tabletop gaming in general, and the business climate that was going to exist moving forward, and it was not worth it to try to come out the other side of that. It was not something that the ownership team had a bunch of interest in, because people had other stuff that they could go do. And like, we really don't want to just grind away at this, because you've heard it said a million times on the internet. And it is true that the margins at an LGS are very poor. They're very low. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. And it's just on top of all of that, you're building a community, and that can be the good and the bad of it, because it can be hard sometimes when business clashes with community. And the pandemic is sort of an example of that, where you really want people to come into your shop, but maybe it's better if they just don't. And that is something that store owners are going to have to deal with. So I don't think I've announced this on the podcast before, but I do want to say that, you know, my store closed largely due to COVID. So that is, in some ways, a weight off of me, a lot less stressful, but also a sign of the times. So we wanted to talk with Caffrey. So before we get into sort of any of the nitty gritty, why did you want to start an LGS in the first place? Why did you decide that, hey, I want to go really hard on Magic this way? What drew you to it, Caffrey?
So here's the much dreaded origin story. So this was I graduated college. What should have been July of 2012. It ended up being December of 2012 for various reasons.
Sure.
I was working for another store in the area for senior year and a half, and about the 6 months after that. But I was hustling cards on the side. I was going around to events as a judge. I had a neat little hustle of buying judge foils for over high buy list at the floor of the event, and then mailing them to Card Kingdom. I think Caracas, the high buy list in the event was like $55 or $60, and Card Kingdom was paying like $90.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, that was the arbitrage times. That was also kind of when Charles with MTG Deal Star getting started. So there was a lot of opportunity just to buy and sell in general. Well, turns out July of that year, right around 4th of July, I was let go from that job. So I have a degree in computer science. I could do a number of things. I did an interview and realized that I didn't want to do that job at all. So the storefront was available across the street from where I was living at the time, and
convenient.
I don't live there anymore, but I moved into a 4,000 square foot retail store in September. 3 months later, we had a 160 person legacy event giving away 40 duels and 40 fetches.
Not a bad way to start. Not a bad way to start. Well, talk us through what the pandemic has done. Let's start, I guess, with the LGS side of things. What has it been like trying to hang in there? Mm-hmm.
So delving into what it's like for an LGS, we were closed for about 2 months from the storefront side. We kept warehouse operations going because that was something we were still able to do, but we kept staffing down basically as low as we could. So it ended up being about 5 of us in a very large building for safety and everything. But the retail store was shut down. And I think that a lot of stores are like that. But I think we were also seeing a very sharp uptick in people, in store owners selling cards on the internet.
Yeah.
You look on TCG and a lot of the cards, a lot of the bad cards, the number of different sellers is higher than it was before.
What do you mean by bad cards?
So one of the metrics I've used in a recent video is how many different sellers of a card that sells for under a quarter exist. Argent Sphinx from Scars Mirrodin was always my go-to.
Okay.
To track sellers over time, because who's buying Argent Sphinx on TCG Player for any price? TCG loan might be like 5 cents or something. But it's just a barometer of how the number of TCG Player sellers changes over time and how deeply people are listing inventory. Right, a card like Scalding Tarn has a lot of variance on number of copies on TCG. If Modern's hot, people start buying it, the price goes up. Clearly, there's going to be fewer sellers. Nobody's going to be sitting on their Scalding Tarns. They're motivated to move them in some way, shape, or form. But Argent Sphinx as a card is a card that people are going to list because, it's a rare, this might sell. I'm going through my boxes because I don't have anything else to do. But it just sits in the box all day because it has no intrinsic value.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you look at a lot of cards from Throne of Eldraine, you're seeing 600 or 700 listings for a lot of these cards right now, which is just a very high number compared to where it used to be.
Yeah, no kidding.
Part of that could be explained by there being more foils with collector boosters than there was in the past.
Sure.
So you're having stores listing foil and non-foil and possibly multiple conditions. And I didn't really normalize against all that like I probably should have to get this number, but there's just more. There's more people selling stuff online.
Yeah, so like I think there's a big increase of somebody who has like a very like low level LGS in their area, probably just like a mom and pop shop, and they're like, oh, I finally have time to organize all my bulk rares and list them on TCG.
People who are unemployed too, and they're collecting unemployment, they got nothing else to do.
I mean, yeah, it took us at Stormbrew. I mean, they weren't really doing much with TCG Player before I got there, and then it took us 6 months to get that part of the business up and running smoothly. And now, without that, and me having all these cards, I'm now repeating that process in my own house to work through this stuff that way. So just even anecdotally, you're absolutely right. I am one of those people who's setting up a new TCG Player store. In this case, it's sort of a replacement for me, but it shows what people are doing. Right, everyone is flocking to it. So what does that? I mean, what does that mean for you trying as far as selling online? Is this something that is a negative, a positive, a neutral? What does that mean?
I don't think it has a dramatic effect online. One of the as I hesitate to use the words.
Okay.
One of the most significant features of TCG Player is the 78 cents shipping under $5.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what that does is if a seller has a very broad amount of inventory in that under $5 range, they pick up very large sales from Card Optimizer. If you envision a world where you have 5 sellers that each have a card at 25 cents plus 78 cents shipping, so that's $1.03 total. And then I have all 5 cards at $1 each.
Mm-hmm.
I end up getting this $5 sale where I make basically $3.50 on it after fees and shipping, or alternatively, these other 5 sellers would end up just burning all the money that the customer's paying on shipping and fees, which is part of why direct being down was also very good for bigger stores, less good for smaller stores.
Mm-hmm. That checks out, right? That's an interesting data point. So let's focus back a little bit on the LGS side of things. I assume that you all were able to hopefully, access some of the grant money or, loan money that the CARES Act put out. But I know for a lot of companies, even if they got that money, it's starting to run out and there's nothing else in place right now. And depending on where you're at in the country, we're still in the midst of the outbreak. So, what is your, I guess, is what you're comfortable talking about here. How are you managing all of that and managing that risk? And, are you confident with where things stand in the future moving forward for the LGS? Maybe not necessarily yours specifically, but drawing on your experience, do you feel like LGSs are going to come out on the other side of this all right? Or is this just devastating?
So the rough income pie, or the rough expenses pie rather, for an LGS is basically half the income gets devoted to restocking whatever the items are for sale, be it boxes or singles, and then of the other half of that, roughly a third goes to your space, your rent, a third goes to your employees, and then a third goes to everything else, and theoretically that third should also have your profit. As the income shrinks, the expenses aren't going to shrink in the same way, which becomes very challenging for stores to figure out where they can cut corners or what corners they have to cut. Now, a lot of smaller stores are in down market areas. The rent is much lower, and maybe they have a larger share of their cost burden allocated to marketing or to employees, where they're able to weather this pretty well. If you have a store that does $30,000 a month in sales, but is paying $1,800 a month in rent, it almost doesn't matter how much their income shrinks because of the pandemic, because they're able to just do other things. They can cut their hours down a little bit, shrink their employee staffing schedule, have the owner pick up more shifts, and all of a sudden it's still a healthy business. Whereas I know some, without getting too specific here, some, coffee shop, game store hybrid models that focus less on Magic, more on board games and everything else, that are in a dense urban area, and they say, oh, our rent it's 5 figures a month because we're in a center city prime location, and we can't keep the income the same size. And that's kind of the big difference between how stores are able to pivot from this.
Yeah, which is interesting because, it seems like that would almost reward smaller stores over the larger stores in this circumstance, right? If you're a mom and pop shop and nowhere with low rent, you can keep that up. But those aren't the names anyone's familiar with. You know?
I mean, there's 1 or 2 stores nearby my area where the owner has the store as a secondary, as like his side thing. He is primarily like a truck driver, or there's one who primarily owns some other business, and that business is completely separate from Magic, and they do their own thing, own their own construction company or whatever, and then the store is just a project or labor of love or whatever you want to call it. So they have the ability, if need be, to just focus on their entire separate gig temporarily.
Those types of stores also are more likely to have a landlord that they have a personal relationship with. They're less likely to have a strict commercial lease with triple net where they have to pay taxes and maintenance fees. The landlord maybe says, hey, I know times are tough. Can you give me half the rent now? And, we'll see where things are in 6 months and possibly forgive it entirely. Whereas a lot of commercial realtors, because of the way the tax code works with owning property and writing off empty property, they're not really incentivized to cut the amount of money they get all that much.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to bring into it that I'm sure a lot of people weren't aware of. So, you're saying that if your LGS is one of those that probably is in an area like that, they don't have anyone looking out for them, right? That's what that comes down to. There's no safety net.
Right. There's never a safety net when you go into business for yourself.
Right. Well, yes. In this case, you can't even, but yeah, I mean, you can't even rely on the idea that your landlord, if they can, because you'd say, oh, they're going to kick me out. They need my rent. But what you're saying is that that's actually not even a consideration from the landlord side.
Right. It's a little closer to a push for them if the building's rented or not in a lot of cases.
Yeah. That's too bad. I mean, we'll see. So people talk about this all the time in Magic, ourselves included, sort of the death of the LGS. And a million different things people have said we're going to kill it. And to be fair, a lot of them were very damaging and still are. Do you think that the coronavirus is the final death blow for the LGS? Should anybody want to open one up in the future? Is it a business model that is sustainable or going to be around in 10 years? Or do you think that with the moves we've seen, between the moves we've seen Wizards make over the past 5 years, and then add on the pandemic, where do you just kind of see the state of the local Magic game store at right now?
I think it's very hard to get started in this industry right now. And I think WotC has, whether they realize it or not, created some institutional barriers that make it even harder for an LGS to get started. Realistically, the target for how much cash you should have when you're opening an LGS should probably be above 100,000 at this point.
I mean, I'll say this: we opened with, I think I can feel comfortable sharing this, but the store I was at, I came in on as an owner later, but they opened with, over the course of the first year and a half, I think, over around $100,000 was where we started, and it wasn't enough. We just, you're just always short on something, it feels like, right? And every time anyone is like, oh, I want to buy this, oh, well, yeah, but we don't have that back inventory because we didn't have enough money to just refill, to just have a bunch of inventory. So we'll get it for you next week. And then they don't buy it. So yeah, I think is whatever the money you think you need, I usually just say double it.
So here's a question for the cast on this line.
Yeah.
If you wanted to buy the cheapest copy possible to have one copy of every uniquely named Magic card from Mirage forward at buy list, how much money do you think that would be? So like a Carly Bloodbraid Elf, you only need one Bloodbraid Elf. You don't need all 7 versions, and you don't need any of the foils. Just one, like EMA Bloodbraid Elf.
My God, I've never considered this in my life. You said Mirage forward?
Yeah, so no like revised duels, no like.
I don't appreciate someone coming on my podcast to embarrass me,
quizzing you.
It's a good question.
I'm gonna be honest. I've literally never even thought about this. So
I'm gonna say like $2,500.
I'm gonna say 25,000, and Corbin can be in the middle somewhere.
I was certainly leaning more to the 1,000 side than the 100 side, but everyone at home,
well, because
hope you got your answer. Got it ready for us. Caffrey, what is the answer?
So this is kind of a proxy to the question of what does an LGS look like? What does an LGS provide for you?
Yeah.
And if you define an LGS as a business that is primarily focused on buying and selling Magic cards, the percentage of this number that the store should have in stock needs to be significant.
Yes.
And that number ends up being about $25,000 in wholesale for one of each cheapest copy of everything. When I did the math, it was a little bit dirty with reprints and whatnot, and some cards having slightly different names. But if you say, oh, I want a play set of the cheapest copy,
but I got the number of zeros correct, right? Like we're talking that many zeros. So like
Yeah.
If we're fudging it a little bit with reprints, like, we're still talking an order of magnitude.
Yeah.
Right. So it ends up being that there's a tremendous amount of money needed to have enough stock to be interesting to for someone coming in the door, which means that even if you love games, even if you love hobbies, getting into Magic, and in particular Magic singles, is really cost prohibitive in a lot of ways. You can tailor this back down. You can just sell standard. You can just sell modern cards, but Commander's still the most popular format, and you're really not able to offer that full line service in an LGS environment unless you really have this very large capital. Oh, and by the way, every set has more cards in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this number just keeps drifting upwards. At some point, it will hit a breaking point when you're better off buying anything else. You could buy like jigsaw puzzles and make money right now.
That's true. Puzzles are good money right now, actually. Yeah, you need a lot of money to start, and there's not a lot of money to be made, certainly right now, or honestly, kind of ever. You know, we got to the point for us, I know, where we were.
It's like trying to get into the .com industry, right?
It
was a really cool thing if you got in like back in the day, even if back in the day means 2012. But like, it's like, hey guys, I'm gonna start a competitor to AOL. It's like
it's like buying Bitcoin now.
No, I mean Yahoo bought broadcast.com, and they did great with that, right?
Heard of broadcast.com. So
because it's part of Yahoo. That's why you haven't heard of it.
Exactly.
That was Mark Cuban's sports video service.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
That's how he made his millions.
Good for him.
Follow his advice, right?
Oh, he walked away great.
Yahoo
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know for us, it got to the point. You sell booster boxes, and nobody wants to pay more than $100 for a booster box. That's the price of a booster box. You have to buy them at like 81, 82 or whatever it's up to now. And in 2012, it was half that. No, sorry, it wasn't half that, but it was like 50. It was in the 50s, not in the 80s. And then, now but you couldn't raise the price, right? So it's just, think about that, and then think about that for everything in the store. And that's the kind of where the LGSs are at. And that's one of the reasons that we decided it's just not worth it. Like, we could put more money in, we could deal with this. We love our community. We love all of this stuff, but is it just the pandemic was kind of it hit, saw it coming. And we just decided that we were pretty down on the store experience before that, just between all of it. Right. And trying to compete in an expensive suburb where there were 2 other game stores within 2 miles. It just when the pandemic hit, it wasn't worth it. And I feel like we've seen a lot of store owners making that decision. I know one of the high profile ones was a case in Seattle where the store owner said, Secret Lairs are the end of it for me. I'm selling my store. And then he did, because he saw what Secret Lairs are. They're wizards selling singles directly to the public. That's scary. That's scary.
On a gigantic scale.
Not unrelated to that point, but just considering the $100 booster box price memory thing, it's actually kind of crazy to me that they have managed to avoid tinkering with the whole $3.99 booster pack price for over like 15 years. I mean, like, they haven't at like Walmart or Target, where like, right, if you walk into Walmart or Target, they're like $4.30 or whatever for booster packers. I don't know, but like
people still want you. Most people walk. I had people walking the store all the time going 3 for 10, 3 for 10. That's like $3.33 on a booster pack. Do I want to make 60 cents? Sure.
Just as like a general rule, like just if you like look at inflation and just everything over like 15 years, it's really crazy.
It's like Coke refusing to raise the price of a Coke above a nickel, and at a certain point they were just trying to Pepsi. Like, it was like, we're not even making any money anymore, but like, screw it. People got a nickel, they put it in the Coke machine, and they get a Coke out.
And this will get into kind of why Wizards is responsible for some of this. And I have said nothing public. I've said nothing on this podcast that I literally have not told a Wizards employee. So I don't think I'm being unfair here.
I do want to point out, right now there is no MSRP on booster packs. They got rid of that about 4 years ago.
Right,
so if you look at a product announcement for something like Double Masters, they have this nice long write-up about the language of the products in and the packs per box and everything else. See at the bottom, this product will be offered on Magic Online at $6.99 per pack. but there's no mention of retail price anywhere in the world, or what LGS should charge.
It's frankly, in my opinion, pretty disingenuous, but that is what they're doing, because the prices that the LGS charges, it's pretty easy for you that the LGS is getting charged to buy those boxes. It's pretty easy to look at that as, well, this is Wizards. I'm getting charged the same price by my distributor or by Wizards as I got paid for X Master set, and that sets your so like in my, I know there were real reasons for removing the MSRP. I'm not knocking that decision, but in a lot of ways, it kind of feels like that's almost that's another way for Wizards to not take responsibility for hiking the price of a booster pack to $5.
But also, they're selling more at Walmart and Target than ever before. So, like, you can't say, "Oh, I'm selling my Brawl decks for $50." I mean, you can, but if Target has them for $20, you can't effectively sell them for $50. Like, that enforces the price that you're realistically allowed to charge.
One of the things that WotC's also been playing around with here is trying to anchor products around that $100 benchmark. If you look at something like Mystery or Jumpstart, with the way it was produced and composed, they're $5.99 packs, or they should be $5.99 packs. They're 24 packs per box, which puts the quote-unquote MSRP in that 130-ish range, which means the natural discount number is $99.99, because they're trying to get as much money as they can out of stores and be under that. Double Masters VIP, same deal. It's in the low 70s wholesale, trying to hit that $100 mark for the retail mark.
Yeah. Caffrey, what do you think about products like VIP boosters or secret layers and this sort of stuff in the context of owning an LGS? Yeah.
WotC still does a lot for stores. They sent every store a pile of mystery boxes. They're continually trying to do outreach programs with Arena codes, and we're going to probably see some integration in there. I do believe that WotC cares about stores existing.
I agree. I think I think just so everyone at home, we're not bashing on WotC. We're just trying to point out some of the negative things, because you're absolutely right. They do a ton of great things. I never had any complaints about our WP and rep at the store. They're doing effing at home. They're giving the integration to the stores. They're doing a lot of great things. So I just want no one at home to think that we're here just saying Wizards is trying to kill LGSs. They need LGSs, but there are competing forces, just competing interests, not even people per se, within Wizards as a company. They from a capitalism standpoint, it makes sense for them to get as much money as they can out of the LGS without losing the LGS, and that's the line that I think that some of us are kind of have raised some concerns about.
So WotC's like your second landlord.
Well, I mean, WotC right now has told people that you can't do sanctioned events because of the pandemic in North and South America, and that's not very fun for, say, someone in Canada if you live in a place where there's not a lot of
people,
not a lot of people, or
entertainment options,
not a lot of coronavirus.
People who don't speak French as a first language. Like, what are you trying to say about Canada, Corbin?
Anyways, I'm sorry. We wanted to have that disclaimer out there. So, Caffrey, go ahead with what you were saying.
Yeah. So Hasbro really does have this profit motive, and WotC's doing the best they can to deliver on that. I would like to see products like Secret Lairs be done in conjunction with stores a little bit better. Possibly, if we look at how Kickstarters are done in the board game industry, I think there's a lot of room for innovation there. Something like Secret Lairs, you can pick this up at your LGS, but you're still prepaying online, and the store gets a 20% kickback on it for facilitating or something of that nature. Possible bundle deals to retail stores for Secret Lairs, because I know there's a number of stores that are buying them and marking them up and doing okay with it.
But that's just so silly, right? Like, the LGS, which has a relationship with Wizards, should not be forced, if they want to sell a Secret Lair, to have to buy them secondhand. That's just crazy to me. Did you like the Fetchland one? Isn't that the one that, in theory, was supposed to go through the LGS?
Yep, and then we got 4 of them or whatever at pretty crazy numbers. I'm probably going to circle back to the Fetchland Secret Lair at some point in this conversation elsewhere, though. But bottom line, WotC isn't trying to abandon LGSs entirely. They're just trying to do a number of different things that are all down to shareholder returns.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think they're doing the best they can with all of it.
Yeah, great. Okay, I mean, so let's look just briefly then at the online Magic Fest side of things. You know, sort of, I'll say our working theory, something that we all believe to be true on this podcast, and we all believe is backed up, is that no Magic Fest means no stores buying cards. It means people sitting at cards at home. It just lessens the flow of Magic cards, leading to increased prices as vendors online have difficult time restocking. Has that matched your experience at all, or do you have a different take on it?
Yeah, that all lines up entirely. We're seeing people on social media saying, "Hey, I can't wait for there to be another event. I want to go sell my cards." LGS is being closed in various parts of the country, has disrupted that as well. I have very good relationships with a number of LGSs, and I would hazard to guess I spend $500,000 a year or more buying cards directly from them. Because if you don't do a very large volume, online sales are a little bit perilous and a little costly to get into. By and large, if you look at the Magic player demographic and the people who spend a lot of money on Magic, they are either entirely unaffected or better off now than they were otherwise. It doesn't apply to everybody. But if you're in a situation where you're able to work from home all the time, and you make $50,000 or $60,000 a year or more, because there's a big spectrum here, you're suddenly eating out less, cooking more. You're not really able to take a vacation this year.
Yep.
So what are you doing with your vacation budget? Well, you're going to buy Magic cards or get into other hobbies. And then if you're at the lower end, you're working at a grocery store or some sort of 9-to-5 job that's not in the restaurant industry. In the restaurant industry, you get laid off and you get the extra money there where you're a little bit ahead. And then if you're just working straight through, you still get the $1,200 check and you're getting as many hours as you want and probably even more hours in a lot of those businesses.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the right way to look at it, because just because it's a recession doesn't mean it's a recession for everybody. And the last major recession in this country in 2008 was a boom time for Magic. So,
we've talked on this podcast about why that is. You're like, why are more people going to the movies during a recession? Well, because no one's going to Disney World. And that's what it is. You don't have Disney World money, but I'll be fucked if I'm not going to see a movie and have some semblance to normalcy in these weird times.
Corbin's wife needs to support the puzzle industry.
Yeah.
So the reason I want to touch on Secret Lairs is that WotC has a premium program for local game stores. 1% or 2% of local game stores are premium, and it's a list of 40 requirements that a store has to have, ranging from a clean store, presentable, and matching fixtures, to your trash cans have to have lids, and you have to have a computer to be able to demo Arena to somebody. And also your tables have to be nice and match. The Secret Lair fetch lands, though, WotC gave out a very, very high allocation, relative, obviously, to stores that are premium compared to not. So in terms of where an LGS goes from here, and I think this is the an hour in or whatever, this is the critical part for the viewership, understand that the industry as a whole is moving towards stores that are being run by professionals, they're being run by business people, and less likely being run by people as a hobby, which means that having 40 tables for you and your friends to come sit down and just play EDH for 8 hours is less likely going forward than smaller play spaces but nicer play spaces. Very high quality chairs. We're seeing a trend nationwide for monetized play space. So you can sign up and play in an event, and if you don't want to play in an event, you have a minimum purchase that you have to make in the store that day or that month to be able to gain access to the play space. One of the stores I know, they do like $20 and you can play for the month, or $200 and you can play for the year. So realistically, if you're in your store you're buying boxes or buying sleeves or buying singles, this is fairly trivial to hit. I haven't heard of a single store having a monetized play space with a really, really high target. It just comes down to expect to see these changes coming to your store, especially if you have a nice store, especially if you have a store that you're able to take your boyfriend or girlfriend or your parents into, and they can appreciate that, oh, this is a cool place for you to hang out. Understand that there's a cost to all that as well.
Yeah, great. All right, well, before we go, everybody, we wanted to squeeze in pick of the week. I know we got a little long this week, but I think it was worth it.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
All right, let's. That's a great pick of the week, though, Caffrey. I'm gonna look at this puzzle when we're done here. I'll go. I can't go. DJ, you go ahead.
So I have a pick of the week. It is from Commander 2020. It is a rare. It is a red rare. It is called Molten Echoes.
Okay.
Do you know what this card does?
Nope.
Nope. The most relevant part of it says, when this enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. So you know it's good. That's the only relevant thing on it. It says, when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type.
Okay.
It's a 4-mana red enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, Splinter Twin it.
Woo.
So it's just,
Okay.
it's kind of like Kindred Charge, where Kindred Charge gives you all of the tokens of something you have at once. So it's like, I'll double all my goblins. This is just, you play it on turn 4, and then for the rest of however long it's in play, all your slivers are doubled, all your warriors, all your goblins, all your hydras, what have you. It's $1.50. It is just a card from Commander 2020, a set where I think a lot of cards were left behind or forgotten or just not even really paid attention to, thanks to COVID and just how meshed in it was with Ikoria. And this is just a card that sits in the dollar bin. It's a red enchantment. Red's not the best commander color, but Kindred Charge managed to go from like near bulk to 350 or 4. I think this follows the same trend.
If there had been no COVID, they still would have dropped these sets on top of each other.
Yes, that's accurate.
So
not everything's for everybody, Jason. I think that's what they would have said.
So C20
everything
was
was for
designed,
me.
though, to go with Ikoria.
Yeah.
Right, but
There's
what I'm
Ikoria
saying
bases
is-
in the set. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is I think that like because those sets were intermingled, there were some players that were like reading standard cards and reading commander cards and couldn't tell which was for which or like.
Yep. I certainly felt that
600
way.
new cards, you ugly idiot. Also, you won't get your hands on them for 3 months. Also, you can't play them anywhere.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that like
But buy
Commander
them.
2020 cards are unique in that way, where I think a lot of players looked at them and then didn't look at them again, unless you bought the decks.
Yeah.
If you'd like a sample order from Molten Echoes that I sold, 2 Molten Echoes, 2 Bonders Ornament, 1 foil M15 Siege Dragon.
Okay, dragons, perfect. There you go. Like this.
Siege Dragon. Wow, that's the one they sprung on. Siege Dragon. Nice.
It's probably the only foil dragon they don't have, man. They got
Yeah.
foil World Gorger in there, and
Yeah, they've already got all the others, I guess.
yeah, it's making you look like an idiot with our $930,000 foil dragon deck, and you're over here making fun of them. They have the only foil Nolanthe dragon that exists, and you're over here like, oh, what a scrub.
You know, for what it's worth, I did buy a Lathis commander deck from somebody last
Lathless.
month. Whatever. I don't remember that.
For
card's
how
called.
many times I've misspelled that card while listing it? It's Lathless. There's a second L in there.
Lathless. I bought one of those decks, and it was like 1,500 retail because it had like a full mana crypt and stuff in it. So I understand that there are ways to make an expensive dragons deck.
But none of the dragons are the way to go.
They're not the, yeah. All right, I'm going to come in with a card that got mystery boosted, but I think is looking pretty attractive right now, and that's Get Rog Monster. The card was $10 from Shadows over Innistrad before it was in mystery boosters. It was in mystery boosters. The price bottomed out around $3 about a month and a half ago.
Woo.
It has since climbed back up to $4. And this was a $10 card beforehand, and I mean,
What's
look,
a $10 card on the basis of like Lord Windgrace? That's what did this.
Not even. That card sold super well before that.
Oh yeah, it sure did.
I mean, the card was $10 in March. is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like I see a jump in the graph from Wind Race probably back in the day, but this card it's a $10 card and it's a mythic, and mystery boosters seem to have bottomed out some prices, but I don't know what they're going to do to them long term. I'm assuming not much, given that nobody opened a mystery booster retail edition. So yeah, so I'm all in on
such
Get
a
Rog
gift
right
to
now.
all of us that we never got to open.
I in retrospect, I feel very lucky to have gotten to play it with playtest cards. Even I honestly didn't even know what this was pre-pandemic. I didn't know what we were going to be missing. Mystery Boosters was great. I was really excited for the retail version of it, and then big swing and a miss on that.
Oh, well, maybe you should put his pick in the spreadsheet now.
Maybe you should put it in
The
himself.
spreadsheet to which he is referring is the spreadsheet that our patrons go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and give us $10 a month, which is $2.50 an episode. They'll have access to the picks as soon as we make them on a Monday night. You will have a 1 week head start on the competition. And you will be able to track those picks over time and see who's the best at this. It's me. And you will be able to see like a snapshot of like our thought process and when we pick stuff, why we pick stuff. You'll have Breaking Bulk. You'll have Pick of the Week. And you'll have some other stuff. If you want to bump up to 20, you'll get the tokens, the playmat, this handsome drinking glass I'm getting drunk out of. And you'll have the after hours where you hear how badly Corbin shit the bed just trying to get me to do my Pick of the Week. Which is the foil copies of a card called Veto, Thord of the Dusk Rose, which is secretly the best black card in Commander 2021. It's going to go in a lot of decks. It's good in the 99. It's good in the command zone. It's just a really just dumb card. You have to play it. It does a lot of work. And foils of this are like $3 for regular core set foils. You know, if you go to like view all versions on TCG Player, there's like there's the pre-release cards, there's the promo pack cards, there's there's regular set cards. All the foils are under like $6-7, and it's probably wrong on all of them long term. So I would say like buy at peak supply, but like when is peak supply? Who has boxes? When are they getting more? Nobody knows. I think with as uncertain as everything is right now, you take a look at what seems wrong, and I think a $3 foil of Veto seems very incorrect, and I think history will bear that out. And if you read the article I wrote on mtgprice.com last week, I went a bit deeper into my thought process and compared it to core set 2020 cards that I think were good corollaries.
I think the world has forgotten about core set 2021 existing.
And rightfully so.
Yeah,
there's a new set every, like, I haven't even, I haven't gotten my core set 2021, and we did Double Master spoilers today. So like,
yeah. And like there's Jumpstart, and then another month, another week at this, who knows? It'll be Zendikar time. Time is a concept, but yeah, you're right. The world does not remember or care about core set 2021 at this point. So anything that comes out of that is going to be big game.
It's pretty important to point out though, that non-foils for Veto are going to be pretty bad. Yeah. It's in the Amazon gift box as well as 2 of the Jumpstart decks.
Yes. Yep. Very.
But honestly,
good.
I don't like non-foils of commander cards. Commanders.
Yeah.
Typically, anyway, like a non-mythic rare, with more than one version. It's just it's pretty loose. But I do like foils of Veto at $3. I think that's incorrect.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. As a final reminder, if you liked any of the cards we talked about tonight, anything that we mentioned, go check out our sponsor, channelfireball.com. As Jason would say, it is the place for all of your channel needs and your fireball needs. Go check out the buy list promotion they are running right now. All you have to do is send them a box. They'll do the rest if you're a member of CFB Pro. So shout out to them as always for sponsoring us. Thank you. Caffrey, thank you for joining us. Where could people find you?
Do I get a pick of the week or no?
What? I thought it was the puzzle. I put it in the spreadsheet.
You're so bad at this.
All right, give us a second one. Give us the second pick of the week.
Which piece of the puzzle is your pick?
No, the piece of the puzzle playmat, not the one either. My unrealistic pick of the week for people is Bazaar of Baghdad.
Sure.
Vintage is seeing play Magic Online. Bazaar decks are doing pretty well there, and that kind of hits the I have disposable income and I want to buy this thing because you can play it in Commander, and people that put off buying it for a long time may suddenly try to buy it. We've sold most of our copies, and the card's doing pretty well. I think we have one left right now. My actual pick of the week is from Commander 2020. It is a blue rare. It is Ethereal Forger. 4 blue delve flying 3/3. When it attacks, you may return instant or sorcery exiled with this.
Okay.
So I was doing my research before this. It turns out there's 36 different sellers of this card right now. The typical C20 card has between 80 and about 130.
Okay.
Low is about $1.50 right now. But the 4X low, meaning the cheapest seller that has 4 in stock, is almost $5.
Ooh.
Do you know how I actually found out that that's the case on this card? Well, we restocked Commander 2020 in volume over the weekend, and somebody bought all of ours for under $2. So whoever did that, kudos to you.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't aware of this.
The playset metric is also just like a very good way to figure out sort of not the actual supply, but the actual supply of a card, if that makes sense.
Maybe explain.
I mean, it's just like there's a lot of people out there, not necessarily for Commander staples, but just like a lot of cards in general, whether it's casual 4-ofs or modern 4-ofs or whatever. But like people don't like getting multiple packages, so. Like, if you go to TCG and there's one seller for $6, one seller for $6.70, one seller for $6.84, and one seller for $5.95 with some amount of shipping, and then you go to the 4X multiplier, there's a quantity filter for 4 or more, and then there's the cheapest seller that has 4 or more has them for $8.99. There's a decent chance those $8.99 copies sell.
Speaking of, Caffrey, thanks for coming on the show. Where can people find you on the internet if they want to follow you more after this?
You can follow me on Twitter at TOA Michael. Or you could buy cards from me on toamagic.com. I posted on Twitter earlier today, we're going to be opening 2,000 packs of VIP Masters. I'm going to be doing YouTube content on our YouTube channel about pricing it all and opening it all and everything involving with that. But if you want to buy any of those cards, it ends up being about 100 of every card in the set. So it's going to be pretty fun to do.
That's a lot of opening. All right. Well, Caffrey, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. Everybody listening, this was a little bit different. We tried to go deep on one topic here instead of jumping around. I know there's plenty going on in Magic right now, but you've heard about all the bannings and all of this anyways. That's not what you came to the show for today. So thank you everybody so much for listening. If you missed out on episode 400, highly recommend you go back and look at that. Last week we had Ryan and Marcel on. We played a bunch of old clips, read some emails. It was a lot of fun. Well, for everybody this week, this is Brainstorm Brewery. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.